Hey, Michael with XForcePC. I want to talk about the performance aspect of Air Manager and why we would use it why we use it to get better performance. Well, you know, XPlane does have the ability to put your instruments down here. You can do it. It is possible to do it. But let's take a look at our performance here. I'm going to unpause it or turn pause off, and we're getting 50 frames per second right now. We're over New York City near JFK. We're getting right at 50 frames per second. And then when I pause it, we're at about 60. So let's open a second instance of XPlane down here on the lower monitor. And so now we have another copy, which we could have. I'm not going to do it right now, but we could have this just showing the instruments and just showing XPlane up here. But look at our frame rate. Our frame rate almost cut in half. We're down to about 34 frames per second. So we were pushing 60 before, and it's almost cut it in half, because when you run a second instance of XPlane down here, like I just did, and it was as simple as that little click I did, it has a huge performance hit. And now hopefully that'll change in the future, but right now it's twice as hard to draw another copy of XPlane, so it almost cuts the frame rate in half. So that's another reason we use that Air Manager. So again, number one, it gives us the access to touch. And number two, it doesn't have that big performance impact. We're back up to about 60 frames per second now. So we fire up Air Manager. So when we're not on pause, we're doing about 50. When we're paused, we're doing about 60. So I'm going to turn on Air Manager now. And so our instruments are now down here. So we dropped from 60 to 53. So that's only about a 10% performance hit. So instead of a 50% performance hit, we're only getting a 10% or even less than 10%. It's actually dropped to about 55, so that's about 8 or 9% versus 50%. So I'll take the pause off. We're getting 40-something frames per second. And so Air Manager is just a very lightweight way to add your instruments down here without having a big performance hit and affecting your overall simulation experience. You can see we've got things turned up nicely. We've got a lot of scenery out there, and we're well into the 40s most of the time, depending on what's on the screen at any given moment.